Your intelligence is the main reason your arguments go nowhere. Think about the last time you were locked in a debate with someone you respect, someone smart. You both had the facts, the logic, the airtight reasoning, and you both walked away absolutely certain the other person was being willfully, stubbornly blind. That feeling of hitting a smooth, frictionless wall over and over is the hallmark of two sharp minds colliding. By the end of this, you will see the invisible force field that traps intelligent people in endless disagreement. And you'll have the key to disabling it. In the 1840s, a young doctor named Ignaz Semmelweis worked at the Vienna General Hospital. He was brilliant, he was driven, and he was faced with a horrifying mystery. The hospital had two maternity clinics. In the first clinic, run by doctors and medical students, as many as 1 in 10 women died of a gruesome illness called childbed fever shortly after giving birth. In the second clinic, run by midwives, almost no one died. The women of Vienna knew this. They would beg to be admitted to the second clinic. Some preferred to give birth in the streets rather than go to the doctor's ward. Semmelweis was obsessed. He tested everything. He investigated every difference between the two clinics, from birthing positions to the way the laundry was done. Nothing explained the massive gap in death rates. Then, a colleague accidentally cut his finger during an autopsy on a woman who had died of childbed fever. The colleague fell ill and died with the exact same symptoms. In that moment, the entire puzzle snapped into place for Semmelweis. A connection was made. The doctors and students in the first clinic routinely performed autopsies on the dead and then went directly to the maternity ward to deliver babies. The midwives in the second clinic performed 0 autopsies. Semmelweis hypothesized that the doctors were carrying what he called cadaverous particles from the corpses to the mothers. His solution was simple, and today it seems obvious. He ordered his medical staff to wash their hands in a chlorine solution before examining any patient. The results were immediate and staggering. The death rate in his clinic plummeted by 90%. It dropped to the same low level as the midwives' clinic. He had the data, he had the proof. The numbers were undeniable. So why was he publicly mocked, professionally ruined, and ultimately committed to an asylum where he died broken and alone? He had the facts on his side, but facts are the weakest weapon in a war against identity. The resistance Semmelweis faced reveals a dark quirk of the human mind. Your brain's primary job is to protect your sense of self. It must defend your worldview, your status, and your belief that you are a competent, moral, and intelligent person. When a piece of information arrives that supports this identity, your brain ushers it in. It feels good. It's a rush of validation. You feel smarter. But when a piece of information arrives that threatens that identity, your brain treats it like an invading army. It marshals every resource it has to find a flaw, to discredit the source, to rationalize it away. This is where intelligence becomes a liability. A smarter person is better at this. Your mind's horsepower, your vocabulary, your ability to recall facts and construct complex arguments, all get weaponized. They become a high-powered defense system for your existing beliefs. Your intelligence becomes a bodyguard for your biases. For Semmelweis's colleagues, his theory was an existential threat. Accepting it meant accepting that they, the educated gentlemen of Viennese medicine, were personally responsible for the deaths of thousands of women. It meant their hands, the very instruments of their healing craft, were unclean. It was an assault on their core identity as healers. It was far easier, psychologically, to believe that Semmelweis was a crank. It was easier to destroy the man than to update their self-image. This ancient mechanism is running in your head right now, in every argument you have. So how do you spot it when your own intelligence is being deployed against the truth? To protect a feeling. Think about that argument you had. A business strategy? A political disagreement? A fight about finances with your partner. The moment it gets heated, feel what happens in your body. There's a tightness in your chest, your hearing narrows, your mind stops trying to understand. It starts trying to win. It's no longer a search for the best solution. It's a battle for status. Your brain is screaming, if I lose this argument, it means I am less intelligent, less competent, less moral. You propose a new marketing plan at work. A smart colleague points out a major flaw. The more they push, the more you defend. You start talking faster. You pull up obscure data points that support your case. You attack minor weaknesses in their alternative idea. The marketing plan is now a part of you. An attack on the plan has become an attack on your professional judgment. A few minutes ago, you were two colleagues trying to grow a company. Now, you are two warriors defending territory. The argument is already lost because the real objective has been forgotten. You're no longer debating a strategy. You are defending who you are. Escaping this trap requires a radical, almost unnatural shift in your objective. It requires a willingness to perform an act of psychological surrender. What if the goal of an argument isn't to win? The way out is to deliberately, consciously separate the idea from the identity, both yours and theirs. It takes practice. The first tool is to articulate their position for them. After they've made their point, pause. Then say, "Let me see if I understand. You're saying that if we go with my plan, there's a significant risk that our supply chain falters in the fourth quarter, and your core reason for believing that is the instability we saw last year. Is that an accurate summary? Have I missed any crucial parts of your concern? This feels like you're giving up ground. It feels weak. In reality, it is an act of immense power. It forces you to actually listen instead of just reloading for your next volley. It also instantly de-escalates the other person. They feel seen, they feel heard. Their identity is no longer under attack because you have just demonstrated that you respect their reasoning enough to understand it. The defenses come down just a little. The second tool is even more difficult. You must find a flaw in your own argument and offer it up, voluntarily. Say something like, "One thing that worries me about my own proposal is how heavily it relies on our European sales team hitting their stretch goals. If they have a bad quarter, this whole thing gets shaky." This act signals something profound. It signals that your loyalty is to the best outcome, not to your own ego. It makes it safe for them to admit a weakness in their own position. You've moved from a battle to a collaborative diagnosis. This is what de-identification looks like in practice. You're draining the emotion out of the conflict by showing that the ideas are just objects on a table. We can pick them up, turn them over, inspect them for cracks, and put them down again. The ideas are separate from us. This works when you are the one leading the de-escalation. But what happens when the other person is still in the trap? What happens when their identity is completely fused with their position and every move you make is seen as another attack? You cannot force another person to detach from their ego. It's outside of your control. Any attempt to do so will just be seen as a more clever form of attack. The only variable you have power over is your own stance. Your only move is to model the behavior unilaterally without any expectation that they will reciprocate. This will feel like losing. Your primal instincts will scream that you are being weak, that you are capitulating. You have to let them scream, and then you have to do it anyway. The true measure of cognitive power isn't the ability to construct an unassailable argument. It is the speed at which you can recognize you are wrong. It is the grace with which you can abandon a cherished but flawed idea. Think of the wisest people you know, the leaders and mentors you truly admire. They don't posture. They don't need to win every debate. They ask more questions than they answer. They listen with an unnerving stillness. They are startlingly quick to say, "That's a good point. I need to think about that more." Their identity isn't invested in being the person who is always right. Their identity is invested in being the person who is always learning. It is a completely different operating system for the mind. It's a shift from defending to discovering. This takes immense strength. It's a discipline, not an instinct. To stand in the fire of a disagreement and actively help the other person dismantle your own argument, that is the highest form of intellectual integrity. It is also the fastest path to the right answer. Semmelweis couldn't get his colleagues to see the truth because seeing it required them to admit they were flawed. They were trapped. His intelligence and theirs created a perfect, tragic stalemate. The only way through that wall is to be the first one to offer to take a brick out of your own side. The next time you feel the heat rise in your throat, the next time you find yourself in a circular argument that is going nowhere, stop, just for a second, and ask yourself one question. Am I trying to be right, or am I trying to get it right? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Your intelligence can be a fortress you build to keep the world out, or it can be the set of tools you use to dismantle the walls, brick by brick. The choice is yours, every single time, starting right now.